So I do not know what's going on in the ATP. I just don't have the bandwidth. So, wishing them luck.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Body Serve. I'm Jonathan.
I'm James.
We took a 2-week hiatus from our last episode. Wimbledon ended, and so did we. For 2 weeks. I took my maiden voyage to New Orleans for a little friends reunion. That was fun, a nice little weekend breeze out. Although it was nothing of the sort, temperature-wise. It was not a breeze out.
Well, I don't know what you were expecting.
It was Wimbledon last year, French Open this year, times 2.
Yeah. I stayed home.
Because they weren't your friends.
Well, I wasn't invited.
Well, they're your friends too, by,
They are.
addition. But,
Not as much.
it wasn't the vibe of the trip,
Exactly. It's fine. There's been 2 weeks of tennis since we last spoke. I don't think we're going to talk a whole lot about tennis on this episode. We're in this period of the season where players take a little break to get married, go on vacation, play some post-Wimbledon clay.
Time of season where players have opinions on who should attend certain weddings based on their nationality.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That one was wild to me.
Yep.
I mean, your friends are your friends.
Well, that woman will die on every hill, every mound, every anthill, even.
And one of the main reasons why this is going to be a more outside the lines kind of episode is because the WTA decided to continue in its tradition of being the first. This time, first in a very bad way.
Yeah, this is a topic we've covered a lot in our history as a podcast, and I think our thinking has evolved and we've learned new things. But following the IOC, WTA has announced that they're introducing compulsory genetic sex testing for anyone who wishes to compete on the WTA tour. They're the first professional women's sports league to do so. And this is basically like, if you think of the non-Olympic sports federations, that's what we're talking about. The IOC itself was essentially complying with an executive order from Donald Trump. So we've got very strange bedfellows.
That man is always in sports' business. I think it grinds his gears that he was never a jock. I think that's what a lot of who he is boils down to, because he's clearly had a lifelong interest in sport, but he's never fill in the blank.
He's never had the makings of a varsity athlete. You know who said that? Junior Soprano.
Well,
over and over.
I should have guessed because you're in the midst of your 15th rewatch of that show.
Yeah. But joking aside, this is a pretty serious matter, and it's, like you said, an area where the WTA is the first, but not in a trailblazing way, right? In a fairly conservative way. And it's interesting to see who is allied with whom on this issue.
In the past, when it came to the Olympics in particular, these genetic tests or sex testing was met with a lot of outrage from the public because it was very invasive,
Yes.
right? And in some instances, women were basically stripped naked to test for visual signs of being a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the WTA is touting that this is a non-invasive test, given that it only requires a once-in-a-lifetime cheek swab. And while it's certainly a less invasive test, the biomarkers that come from this test could still become public, which in itself is an invasion.
Yeah. We'll learn a bit later that the WTA policy does not protect athletes from their results becoming public or becoming the subject of public discussion. According to the policy, this test tests for the SRY gene, which is a gene that is found on the Y chromosome. So basically, it's used as a proxy to test for the presence of the Y chromosome in a person. The idea is that if you have a Y chromosome, you are a male genetically. Under the policy, if a person tests positive for having the SRY gene, they must prove that they have complete androgen insensitivity syndrome, which means they're resistant to testosterone and have never experienced male puberty. The person who discovered the SRY gene in 1990, Andrew Sinclair, has warned recently that genetic testing is misguided and, quote, overly simplistic. He says the presence of the SRY gene does not prove that it's functional. So there may be a lot of people who have the SRY gene. Over 30 different genes lead to the formation of testes, for example. And even when formed, they require other genes to maintain them. So someone may have the SRY gene, but not have the other requisite genes to create testes in a fetus.
In the Atlanta Olympics, 8 female athletes tested positive for the Y chromosome, but 7 of the 8 were resistant to testosterone. SRY testing was then abandoned for the Sydney Olympics after protests from scientists. As you said, there's a lot of other factors that go into whether or not this SRY gene develops into something further. And some of those factors are chromosomal, hormonal, gonadal, and secondary sex characteristics.
A previous version of the WTA's women's eligibility policy allowed certain, quote, biological males to compete provided they fell below certain testosterone levels, and that had to be maintained for 24 consecutive months. Athletes at that time did not have to show evidence of the legal recognition of female or non-binary gender identity or surgical anatomical changes. This was in 2024. That is now non-existent.
This goes to show how much this transvestigation by people in politics, primarily, has led to an ever-changing evolution in policies. At a governmental level, at a sporting league level. We talked a lot about the NCAA policy on this show.
Yes.
With regards to this issue. And now the WTA is coming up with something different.
Yeah, so that was sort of the wokest era of trans people in sport. And it lasted, I don't know, like 3-4 years, right? There was a very, very brief period where major sporting organizations would allow trans women to compete, but they have never competed unrestricted, right? There have always been rules governing the testosterone thresholds, the length of time someone has to be on gender-affirming hormonal care, etc.
And when those policies haven't been enough for the people who are claiming to protect women's sport, they then pivot to, well, we are trying to keep men out of locker rooms.
Right. One of the first things I want to reckon with here is this note from the player acknowledgement and agreement of eligibility form, which you have to sign or you can't play professional women's tennis.
First of all, well, we've already jumped the gate. What's the expression? The horse has already flown the coop.
That's a lot of.
You get my meaning.
Mm-hmm.
When does this become effective?
Apparently, according to Ben Rothenberg, it became effective on July 1st.
So presumably swabs have already been taken.
I don't know. I think the policy came out July 1st. There obviously is going to be a lot of work needed to be done to put it into use, right? To build the infrastructure, if you will.
So this player acknowledgement and agreement of eligibility form that the players are going to have to sign, it states, I acknowledge that if I fail to undergo SRY screening as requested by the WTA or compete in a WTA tournament in which I, to my knowledge, am ineligible to compete under this eligibility policy, the WTA may take disciplinary action against me in accordance with Clause 5 of the eligibility policy and the Code of Conduct. I further acknowledge and agree that such action may result in, among other things, a specified period of ineligibility to participate in WTA tournaments, which may lead to the reason for my ineligibility becoming public knowledge or being the subject of public speculation. That's really seedy.
Wait.
The wording of that is crazy.
Yes, because why will the reason for your ineligibility become public knowledge? Who is going to tell people? The way this is worded is so vague.
Or, I mean, more than that, or being the subject of public speculation. So whatever our actions are in response to this, you're likely going to have to deal with a lot of public shit.
Right.
A lot of public backlash, a lot of bullying, a lot of nasty, gnarly shit that under normal circumstances we may be held liable for, but you're here absolving us from all manner of unknown fuckery. That's what that's saying.
Well, you have no choice but to sign this.
Yeah.
If you want to play professional women's tennis. And there is only one forum in which to play professional tennis, which is the WTA. We're going back to the cartel idea. The PTPA made this argument of a monopoly. This is an antitrust situation. If you don't want to sign this policy, you cannot play tennis. You really have no choice. And you also have to acknowledge, and if I find out, because I probably don't know, if I find out I have sex difference in my genes that I didn't know about, it's probably going to become public, and the WTA is already telling me they will not protect me.
Sex difference that may not mean what you're trying to root out.
Exactly.
Right? Like the scientists have already said that the presence of this gene doesn't necessarily mean anything. But if I get flagged for that gene, then I'm going to have to deal with all this blowback.
Right. We've seen what athletes go through when their gender is publicly questioned. We've seen, of course, the years-long humiliation of Caster Semenya, the untold invasions and degradations that she's had to go through behind the scenes. We saw the Iman Khalif controversy at the Olympics a few years ago, and we saw tennis legends, tennis coaches like Judy Murray, talk about how unfair it was that a man like Iman Khalif could beat up on women.
We heard what Chrissy Everett said.
We sure did. She said, quote, "This picture says it all." And what does it say, Chrissy? It was a picture of Khalif competing, and it's boxing, right? They hit each other.
You're basically saying it's okay for somebody to look at somebody and decide from a picture or an image whether they're a man or a woman.
Yes. So that's what we mean when we say the word transvestigation. Now, not everyone involved in this participates in that sort of cruelty. To be clear, Martina Navratilova is somebody who does. She participates in this on Twitter all the time. She comments on pictures of allegedly trans women and says how absurd and ridiculous and even abusive it is that this person should want to be around women or compete against women without knowing who these people are.
What's particularly seedy about the two of them, and I will lump Chrissy in with Martina because she's done her bit. Maybe not on the scale as Martina, but she's played her part. They're gassed up by their supporters, right?
Well, yeah.
They have people telling them all these things in their mentions, and that gives them the license to then go forth.
Yeah.
And so they have the confidence of this majority of people who are okay with persecuting trans people. And they, under the guise of protecting women's sport, they then participate in this lowest form of public discourse.
Right, because saying this picture says it all is inviting people to look at pictures of people and determine whether or not they are a woman. And so would you support looking at pictures of Amelie Mauresmo, Martina Navratilova, Serena Williams, all people who have been quote-unquote transvestigated, right? Would you support looking at pictures of women and determining, with no evidence, whether or not they meet your criteria of womanness?
And then for Chrissy, who was the ideal of femininity in her day, right?
America's sweetheart, like,
you can't make this shit up.
What is clever about this movement, right? And this movement starts with conservatives, it starts with the Heritage Foundation, but it's supported by, supposed trans exclusionary radical feminists. Some of them actually embrace that terminology, but this is what they've been called, right? TERFs in the public discourse.
But this is years in the making. This is years on from Martina Navratilova's words being used in Congress to enact bathroom laws.
Bathroom laws, outlawing gender-affirming healthcare in many states across the country. A lot of these bills actually quoted her somewhere in the text of the legislation, right?
At the time, she said, well, that's not what I meant. I'm just protecting women in sport. But we've seen her actions say different since. And so the big picture here for me is the untold cost that this has on trans people, not just adults, but especially trans youth. They're the ones who are bearing the brunt of this. They're catching strays everywhere.
Right.
And for why?
And the cleverness of this movement is that there's always something to protect, right? We're not against anything. We're only about protecting women. We're not attacking anyone. And it starts with like, we're protecting women's sports from infiltrators. We're protecting women's locker rooms and women's bathrooms from these invading, abusive, even rapist men. Right? This is where the language goes, and it's so insidious. And so if you disagree, what are you? Right? If you disagree with protecting women physically, then you're someone who supports abuse against women. You're a misogynist. And I mean, it's airtight, right? And after we publish this episode, I'm sure we'll have many, many comments about how we hate women and we're enabling abuse of women. And
since when have men needed to undergo all these procedures to abuse women without consequence, with women supporting them at every turn, propping them up, making excuses for them? Since when have men needed to go to these lengths to do this?
Well, that's the thing. That's the horrible and terrifying truth, is that men don't need to pretend to be women to abuse women. They do it every day. And it's this fundamentally conservative tactic where you identify this person, like this ideal person who needs to be protected, right? And you saw it all through like the 70s and 80s with the religious right. And you also saw very radical, in many cases far left feminists ally with the far right in those days for things about like pornography. And they found themselves being strange bedfellows. But I do have to ask again, like, who are you agreeing with here? Like, the enemy of my enemy is not necessarily my friend.
On a very macro level, maybe the most macro level, I'd like people to grapple with this issue through the lens of you're getting bombarded with this, not just from the WTA, but from politics, from legislation. It's all over the news. It's water cooler talk. It permeates the public discourse so much. Consider how outsized that level of discourse is compared to the actual number of trans women in sport.
Right. Because why this and why now?
Why is it happening?
Is there an impending threat to women's tennis that we don't know about? Like, are there a number of trans athletes dominating the 125 ITF tour? Like, no, this is not a thing. And I do understand the argument that, well, just because it's not happening now doesn't mean it won't. Sure.
And also,
I hear you.
Also the argument that you can do multiple things at the same time. You can tackle multiple problems. But this does not pass that smell test.
No. I just don't trust the people who are pushing it, is one of the big things, right? You have someone like Sophie Cunningham, who's the WNBA star, who very recently has become a huge proponent of this type of thing, a protector of women, who recently paraded around the ring as a ring girl for the rapist Conor McGregor. So spare me like the protecting women stuff with her, right? And I don't care, they're calling her MAGA Barbie or whatever. I don't care what she thinks her politics are. She's being covered by right-wing media like Fox News every day. She is a superstar. She's their Sydney Sweeney. Even if she maybe doesn't view herself that way.
Well, this is the other element of it too, right? There's capital to be had from being on this side of the issue. And we've seen time and time again over the years with many other issues where people make a name for themselves, are able to capitalize off of certain issues because they have the public backing of it, right? This issue is by and large supported by a plurality of the American public.
Right, probably.
And so what happens when that changes, if it shifts? Then what? We've seen many people change their political ideologies over the years, go wherever the wind blows. And all of a sudden, the moral high ground becomes at a different location.
Yeah, I was looking through an old agenda of ours during COVID. And when Black Lives Matter blew up that summer, Chris Everett was donating to like Black trans charities. And here we are, there was that very brief period where everyone was really, really woke.
Everybody had a copy of White Fragility.
Oh, girl.
Everybody did. They didn't take the lessons from it, but they sure let you know they had purchased.
They also should have expanded the bibliography.
The example that I use of what I just talked about, and it's a personal issue for me because back in those days, I used to go to bed watching MSNBC. I used to fall asleep to MSNBC all the time. I used to catch the rewatch of Rachel Maddow at like 3 a.m. Or was it 4 a.m.?
Is Rachel retired now?
She only works Mondays.
Oh, God.
Her show is on Mondays.
I want her life.
So, this current conservatism in America, right? A lot of the former or reformed Republicans who are now anti-Trump, they lay the groundwork for this to happen. Like they
were still Bush Republicans.
Exactly.
You remember how bad that shit was?
That was really bad.
If you were old enough.
And so it'll always be fuck Anna Navarro for me.
Always.
Yeah. No matter how much she sits on that View dais and talks about how not my party. That girl missed me with that.
God. And sorry, rest in peace, but fuck John McCain too.
My father?
And his daughter.
My father?
So, my takeaway from this is the ramifications of this spotlight on gender always first persecutes people who are beyond the binary, right? Trans people, non-binary, people who cannot conform to the gender binary. But then cis women are always victims of this.
Or choose not to.
Well, of course. Cannot or will not or don't or exist within the binary. But cis women are always victimized by this, right? Cis women are always surveilled. We've seen, people questioning any number of women, whether or not they're real women, whether or not they fit your description. And Black women, very often African women, just simply don't appear to be the type of woman you think qualifies, right?
It also creates a hierarchy within these minority groups. Because when you do this transvestigation and you're looking at pictures and saying, well, that's a man, that's a woman, then passing trans people become like,
right.
They're acceptable because they actually look like a woman.
Not to play sports, but simply to exist.
Right. And the same goes within the gay community at large as well. Like, oh, you're straight passing. Oh my God. You are okay. I can deal with your gayness because I would never be able to tell.
Yeah. When we got marriage...
I thought you were going to say when we got married.
No,
when did that happen?
Right. When we got marriage, and I mean, queer theorists were writing about this in the 70s and 80s, that once that was achieved, a lot of people would just pull off, right? They would pull off into this different sect. Any person who didn't want marriage or didn't assimilate would be part of a group we didn't want to be around anymore. And at the time it was like, oh, well, we sort of needed them. They were loud. They made noise politically. Now we don't need them. So now you see these LGB activists. And that's what Martina is, right? She has rewritten history. She said trans people were never there. And just because you didn't use that word in 1969 doesn't mean they didn't exist. They may have identified in different ways, but people who didn't conform to the male-female binary existed, and they also pushed our movement forward from the beginning, right?
They had the moral goodness to probably know that whatever rights would come from this action and activism, they wouldn't necessarily benefit from. But they knew that they were part of a collective, that they were part of a group of others that was worth fighting for. And so when those who are at the top of that hierarchy benefit from their action to now then turn around and be like, well,
actually, like, it's not even that we don't like you, it's that we never saw you, that you were never part of us. Getting back to sports, obviously a big part of this discussion has to be, well, does this make sense? Like, is this a policy that will work? And should trans women be able to compete against cis women? And of course, like, there's a lot of scientists currently studying this. So I always caution when you see the working group, the Women's Sports Foundation, when you see someone say the science is settled, like we have the science, it's proven. No, we don't. And we don't even have the science to prove what I would argue, right?
Yeah.
Like to say, oh, trans women should be able to compete. We don't have the science to prove that beyond a doubt, nor do we have the science to prove the opposite.
The science that you say is proven is just proving the point that you want to make.
Right.
You've nitpicked the science that you... This is what research is.
Well,
research...
they're building, a literature at this moment.
Right.
Like, this is new.
This is how science evolves. People do research, they publish papers, it's peer-reviewed by a multitude of, a cross-section
Right.
of political ideologies, right?
Sure.
It's not just...
Even scientists bring their biases into
Yeah.
this, right? So what we do know, or what we've learned so far, really in the past decade, is, so in one case, in the most comprehensive review to date, which was a meta-analysis of 52 studies published in 2026 from the British Journal of Sports Medicine, there is evidence that trans women who have been on 1 to 3 years of gender-affirming hormone therapy, GAHT, that they have the upper body strength, lower body strength, and relative VO2 max at a level which is comparable to cis women. And I had to look this up, but the VO2 means the maximum volume of oxygen your body can use during high-intensity exercise. So this one meta-analysis of a bunch of studies says that some aspects of an athlete's performance is at a level that's pretty similar to cis women. Areas where trans women may have worse performance than cis women are lung function, efficiency of breathing, jump height, and overall fitness relative to body size. And again, this is compiling evidence from like growing field, right? This isn't a law in science.
And I can already hear the pushback saying, well, you just said the conservatives pick and choose which science they want to use. You're doing the same thing.
Okay, sure. But I just said areas where trans women may have an advantage, a small residual advantage, are strength tests and grip strength, especially. But we're not seeing hugely advantageous performance in short or long distance running, for example. You're simply not seeing it. And that doesn't mean it will never happen, but we don't have evidence for it so far. And so what we don't know is a lot of things, right? We don't know how long it takes for gender-affirming hormone therapy to erase the residual advantage of being born biologically male. And we don't understand yet how that changes over different sports and different individual people. We also don't have many longitudinal studies that follow the same person before and after transition. Like, that could tell us a lot.
The thing that's not being addressed or considered, in my view, with this whole issue, with the outsized attention that's been given to this issue, is the effect it has on trans youth. And it's personal for us because we have listeners who have trans kids.
Right.
Who have reached out to us and have told us, thank you for saying this, thank you for saying that, thank you for whatever, right? And I won't tell their business here on this show, but the stuff that they go through and that a lot of families who are just trying to survive and have their trans kids survive, it's harrowing. And those are untold stories. Those are stories that happen behind the scenes that don't get wrapped up into this tornado of nonsense just to score political points. Because why is the WTA doing this? Why do they have to be the first?
Mm-hmm.
What was, to quote my immigration class in grad school, what were the push and pull factors that led you to make the decision to be the first women's sporting league to take this policy? Was Martina calling up the WTA headquarters every day? Like, what was the reason for this? What are you trying to get ahead of? Who are you trying to appease? Who are you trying to assuage? And I also want to challenge the people in the sport who may have been silent on this issue for a long time until now that it's an actual news story in WTA tennis, who now have opinions on this matter, but who are still friendly with the parties involved. Will you say things publicly but not privately to them, I want you to consider that. Because there are a lot of people who know a lot of people in tennis who run in multiple different Venn diagramical circles. You know, there's a lot of intertwining, a lot of conflicts of interest in tennis. You say one thing here, but are silent somewhere else. I'd like you to consider the way you move through the tennis world.
One person conspicuously absent is Billie Jean King. I know for a fact she's been asked and pressured to take a certain position on this, which is now the WTA's position. She hasn't said boo about it. The only thing she said about it was years ago, and it was about inclusivity. Much more to come on this, I'm sure. And I'm sure over the next few weeks, we're going to be hearing from active players about what their opinion of this is. And I don't expect perfect answers. I expect a lot of horrifying answers.
Well, that's what I expect. I expect a lot of terrible shit.
But the thing is, like, they probably are not educated, and we've acknowledged many times that this is a really complicated thing to wrap your head around, and we don't have the answers either. But yeah, that's where we are.
We're going to talk a little bit about the PTPA here now. And the original agenda did not have this on it, and then it just appeared today.
When you allow me to build it, then you never know what's going to appear.
I was like, how did this get on the agenda?
Will the real PTPA please step forward? We've got a government in exile. We've got a proxy government. This is so confusing. And I've seen people talking about, like, they have no idea what's going on. I had to read several stories about this. And then I also made a chart so you and I could understand what was going on.
The first thing that happened in June, a group claiming to be the PTPA filed a lawsuit in DC District Court. The suit named Winners Alliance, Ahmad Nassar, and player board members as defendants. This group is made up of, quote unquote,
who knows?
Made up of alleged PTPA members Marco Trungeliti and Zhang Saisai. It asked for an injunction to declare Wajid Mir the actual lead executive of the PTPA. Mir, depending on who you ask, is either the current or former general counsel of the PTPA. This group says the, quote, real board of directors met on June 3rd to dismiss executive director Romain Rosenberg and approved an investigation into Vasek Pospisil, Nassar, and Winners Alliance for conflicts of interest. Allegedly, this board meeting included Taylor Townsend, Anna Rodionova, and 2 anonymous players, who Daniel Kaplan believes to be Francis Tiafo and Wang Jiyu. They fired Rosenberg and elevated Mir. Let's call them the June 3rd committee.
Yeah, if you're not following Daniel Kaplan, he does great work on sports business. He's on Substack and on Twitter. So he called them the June 3rd committee. So on June 3rd, this board met to install Wajid Mir as the executive chairman of the PTPA and start investigations into a few people, including Nassar.
The next day, the original PTPA, with a different board, mind you, fired Mir. This is the June 4th committee.
Then, this June 4th committee faction filed a lawsuit in federal court. Now, this group includes Vasek Pospisil, the Winners Alliance, and the PTPA. Sound familiar? Another PTPA. This is like the OG squad. And what they say is that Wajid Mir has instigated a coup and is trying to remain general counsel despite being fired on June 4th. And they believe Mir is continuing discussions with the ATP on the PTPA's behalf, even though he doesn't have an official role with the organization.
Can you imagine the people who get calls from the PTPA?
Right.
Who get emails?
Like, no, I'm the PTPA.
Who get legal documents? Who am I speaking to? Like, how do you take this entity seriously at this point?
But
this is years removed from the social distanced photo on Arthur Ashe Court. Years. And what do we have? An almighty mess.
The June 4th committee even says that Mir created fake social media accounts to spread misinformation about members of the PTPA. And so I was reading all these stories and I'm like, okay, so I've finally broken down the mechanics. Like, I get who the interested parties are. What do they want? What do they say is going on? Why are they suing?
Well, tell us.
So the rebels, June 3rd, they claim that Pospisil has taken payments from Winners Alliance that have created a conflict of interest with the PTPA. They allege that Ahmad Nassar has taken control of the group and has fired employees who were starting to investigate him, which is what happened at the June 3rd meeting. And that Nassar has violated his fiduciary duty to the PTPA due to his other role in Winners Alliance. Now, they are affiliated, but they're not the same organization. They also allege that Winners Alliance has diverted money and attention away from the PTPA and toward its failed track and field league, which is currently in bankruptcy, its cricket league, and other stuff.
The track and field league is the Michael Johnson League.
Right. And what they demand is to quote-unquote return control. And I'm using scare quotes because it's not clear that Mir ever had control. But to return control to Mir and pay damages for Winners Alliance's failure to market the PTPA, which they estimate upwards of $45 million.
The original PTPA, consisting of Nasser and Rosenberg, etc., they claim that Mir was terminated for serious misconduct on June 4th, that he's misrepresenting himself as leader of the PTPA, and that he has no authority to act for the organization.
Where we are now is that the district court lawsuit, the June 3rd folks, at least the injunction has been heard, and a judge denied it, saying they are not substantially likely to succeed on the merits of their case.
Meaning the Mir people are not likely to succeed overthrowing the Nasser people.
Right, and that they don't have strong legal ground with which to do that. But the judge actually said that neither committee was lawfully constituted. The judge ruled that the June 4th committee, which is the OGs, did not have quorum when they met to fire Mir, nor did they provide enough notice to Townsend and Jung to attend the meeting, and they were board members. He didn't go as far as sidelining Rosenberg, who was the executive chair and officially still is, nor did the judge remove control of the PTPA from the June 4th folks. So right now, a lot of other stuff is going on. The Australian Open is settling this lawsuit. They've created a class of players. There's a class action suit. Who are they negotiating with? I assume the OG board.
And if I'm Novak Djokovic?
Well, did he know something that we didn't?
He
ran.
Totally understand why he fled. Why he fled the scene, because who's got time for this?
At his age? His stage? Come on. I hope that didn't bore you. Once I finally wrapped my head around it, it became kind of interesting.
We've always had a sense of uselessness.
What do you mean?
About this organization.
Oh, not about ourselves.
No. Well,
okay.
I'm sure I'm useless in many ways. Many ways. But years into this thing, and what materially have you done?
Well, I know. And they've presented some ideas that are really interesting and are worth pushing forward, right? But it's like they were presented in a Jackson Pollock painting.
You're already against the 8-ball because you're fighting against so many entities in tennis.
Mm.
So many moving parts, so many varying interests.
Right.
How are you going to enact any change when so many people have a hand in the pot? And then to find out that your own pot is like spilling all over the kitchen.
Right, that the billionaire who funds you has his own interests, perhaps.
It is such an almighty mess. It's truly impressive. We mentioned at the top of the show that this time of year is clearly earmarked by the players to do what they need to do outside of tennis.
Yes.
Whether they need to do some cleaning, move house, they need to take a vacation, they need to take some time off, or some more big life events like getting married, because we saw a lot of marriages, a lot of weddings.
Mm-hmm. This is always wedding week. The most exciting for us, a lesbian wedding. Dasha Kazatkina marries Natalia Zabiako.
We've
in
been to
Greece.
one. We've been to a
We
lesbian wedding.
have. That was actually my first gay wedding, and it happened in New York State only a few years after it became legal. It was actually a very emotional thing to witness.
Well, also it happened in the city where we met.
That's true.
It happened in Ithaca, New York.
That's all the detail you're going to get, because we're not identifying the people who were there. But
you wore oversized orange Converse shoes.
That's true, because I was in the wedding party.
You couldn't find the right size.
Is that
so
true?
you were flip-flopping around that day.
Anyway, Dasha has been engaged for a while to Natalia. The wedding was attended by Mira Andreeva, Pavlyuchenkova, Starodubtseva, Kitchenok, and a few more tennis players. You mentioned earlier that somebody had a problem with it. Olinikova, the Ukrainian player, was highly critical of Ukrainians attending the wedding of a Russian.
I missed this. Where did this happen?
On Instagram, I think. She posted something in Ukrainian and someone translated it. And it was essentially just like, how can you as a Ukrainian just celebrate and kiki with Russians while the war is going on? And at this point, I just have to say, like, girl, at some point you have to rest. Like, there has to be a hill on which you don't die.
Well, I mean, if she's got the energy for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true. You can do whatever you want.
She has a through line in her principles. There are certain things that are no-goes for her, and she has not budged 1 inch.
Sure. But, like, Dasha Kazatkina has given up a lot.
She's also Australian.
Yes.
She has...
But,
anyway, yeah. Maybe she's not the one.
She doesn't buy, that Rybakina is Kazakh, that Potapova is, what is she, Austrian now? Austrian.
I feel like Dasha is different.
Yeah.
Dasha has been outspoken. Dasha is also queer. Dasha has suffered many consequences that many of these other former Russian players have not, will never.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So why can't we just celebrate this beautiful lesbianic wedding?
It's giving homophobic.
Oh, well, I'm not going that far. You said she was consistent in her views, and this
I was
conforms...
making a joke. Okay. I was making a joke. Let's not get too serious about this.
Katie Bolter and Alex Diminar marry in Bolter's hometown, which is a village in Leicestershire. They did a spread for British Vogue, of course. Very, British country manor house.
Was it giving croquet?
Yeah, that's not my world, so I don't know. I don't know what it was giving.
Samsonova, who you've referred to privately as Suitcase Girl for many years.
I love it. Samsonite. Miss Samsonova, who has been rather Italian for a long time.
She got married at the Capitoline Museums in Rome.
Oh, it's a me, Mario. She did. So the Capitoline Museums are at the top of the hill, the eponymous hill. This place, you can keep your estates in East Egg, in West Egg, New York, in Leicestershire. This is mogging all of the Vogue spreads that you can give me. And what I was referencing there was that Tommy Paul and what's her name?
I don't know. I never inquired.
Paige Lorenz.
Couldn't tell you.
She's I mean, people know her. Like, she's famous, but it's just not a world we're a part of.
Mm-hmm.
They also did a big spread for a magazine. I don't remember which.
Taylor Fritz did a thing about how he put on his best suit to let him know what he's missing.
Yeah, so they got married at an estate in Long Island, which is said to be an inspiration for The Great Gatsby, which is why I said East Egg.
Okay.
That was a fictional town in Long Island. It wasn't giving. It wasn't inspiring.
To me, it was none of my business.
Sure. Okay.
I paid it no mind.
That's cool too.
This next bit happened right when we were recording last time, and I didn't put it on the show spur of the moment because I couldn't verify sources, but Roberto Bautista Agut has retired.
Yes.
I thought I was kind of under the impression he was going to play through the season.
That's what was reported.
Which
before.
is why
Yeah.
I was hesitant to put it on the show last time. But he's called it a career. This is a former top 10 player. One of the few people who could give Novak Djokovic fits on a hard court. That backhand.
3 wins over Novak, including 2019 Miami, which I remember quite well. A 12-time titleist.
But most of all, for us, one of the very few tennis players, in fact, male tennis players, who've shown support for the queers over the years.
Yeah, because literally any gesture is more than most of them do. He wore the rainbow shoelaces in 2017 for I believe it was the International Day Against Homophobia. I never saw Rafa in rainbow shoelaces.
Sure didn't.
But I've always been a fan of RBA. He played his last match, apparently, at Wimbledon. In the first round, lost to Fonseca.
He was that Spaniard who didn't play typical Spanish tennis. Who almost kind of felt like he was on the outside of the main group.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of moved to the beat of his own drum. And I enjoyed watching him play. I really did. You've got some drugs.
Yeah. Thank you.
You love the drugs.
For putting this on the agenda. Facundo Bagnis.
Oh, good luck pronouncing this one.
Oh, no, this is actually a pretty straightforward
one. Oh, it is? Hydrochlorothiazide.
Yeah, it's like phonetic.
Okay.
He tested positive for hydrochlorothiazide, which is in the category of diuretics and masking agents. At 2025 US Open, he immediately admitted the anti-doping rule violation when it became apparent, and he elected to start a provisional suspension, even though it was not mandatory for this substance.
He claimed, there's this word again, we've even named an episode with this word in it. He had been taking a, quote, bespoke supplement.
I love that word.
It's really good, yeah. It's so expensive to get something bespoke. I'll probably never own a bespoke suit.
Let alone a bespoke vitamin complex, right? Or whatever.
Can you imagine how much those vitamins cost?
Right.
He was able to provide records, and the ITIA lab confirmed the presence of the substance in his supplement.
They have found no significant fault or negligence, but as you know, they still have to serve some sort of suspension if they test positive for anything, because it's still considered a violation.
And in this case, his 12-month suspension, it was smart that he started the clock right away because now it's retroactive. And he can return in October of this year.
Yep. So, not naming any names, but you see what happens when you immediately accept the suspension, when you identify where the drug likely came from.
If you can.
Where you just say, yep, I did it. The ITIA smiles upon that. I'm thinking of a very similar case that also occurred in September of a year. Where the
1963? Is that the year from that song?
Where the Romanian player claimed, I have no idea where the fuck that came from. And then, a few weeks later said, I think it came from this, and then fought. And that's why it didn't go as well as Bagnis's went.
Simona Halep.
It was December 1963.
Yes, yeah,
the Four Seasons song?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But we're talking about Simona Halep.
Yes.
Simona Halep. To be clear.
How many times are you going to say that?
To be clear, we're talking about Simona Halep.
I'm saying it's not the same situation, but you do see the authorities treat people a little more gently when they just roll over and say, I'll take the suspension and I accept the rule violation.
If we are to believe Simona Halep, I think what happens here is we're seeing a difference between maybe a smaller team setup whereby you as a player have more personal control over what enters your body, as opposed to outsourcing that to men.
Yeah. To
certain men.
A particular French coach who's very famous. Now, it's not every day that the Court of Arbitration for Sport increases a player's suspension when the player themselves appeals it. Now, I shouldn't laugh. No, but it did not go how he wanted it to. The French player Samuel Bensoussan received a 1-year, 11-month suspension from the ITIA for fixing 4 tennis matches. Now, CAS got the appeal, they dismissed it, and they suspended him for an additional 13 months, totaling 3 years. That sucks. Apparently, this was part of a larger international criminal network that was fixing matches around the world. And the investigation found that at least 181 players had been corrupted by this criminal network. Amazing. And one of those guys
Amazing.
One of them is in prison right now.
I thought you were going to say, I thought you said, and one of those guys is gay.
But he's gay.
I could have sworn I heard that. Excuse me, no, he's blind.
No, excuse me, no, he's in prison. I said we probably weren't going to cover much tennis. We're already quite a ways in, but is there anything over the past 2 weeks you found notable?
A couple wins. I'm not going to go into the minutia, the micro of it all.
Mm-hmm.
But Bernard Tomic won a challenger event.
Hello, let's celebrate that.
This apparently was going to be his last year on tour. And admittedly, I've been following him this year because I've been noticing that he's been playing quite literally week to week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the results haven't always been resulting. But he did it this past week. And kudos to him. It caught him by surprise, it seems, because he said in his victory speech that, well, I guess I have to rethink things. Maybe I'll play on. Because on a very real level, we're talking about ranking points.
Yes.
Here and being able to enter events. Like Bernard Tomic is a name, but he's not a name.
Right.
To be able to be getting endless wildcards.
No, and he's been trying to play qualifying for slams recently. Tsitsipas won a title.
Wow.
This was in Gstaad. And both he and Andrei Rublev win their first title since February 2025. Andrei won the title in the same week in Bastad.
Mayar Sharif has been on one for a while. Like, this is what you call, what am I going to say? This is what you call
a purple patch?
Correct. This is a purple patch.
And she's been playing a lot.
Yes.
She won the title in Yachts, Romania, beating Paula Badosa. Hello, Paula in a final. And Paula had actually won the Bastad 125 the week before. But as you said, Mayar has been playing a lot. She was cleaning up on the 125 level, winning 2 titles there. She has 33 wins already on the year, which is a lot if you're not like a top player.
It's her first main tour title since 2022. Also, she had just been coming back from injury. And she came back earlier than she thought she would be from this injury, only to just win everything.
My girl Babs won in Athens over hometown girl Maria Sakkari.
She also went on to make the semis the following week in her home tournament. The only question with Babs is health. Really.
Yeah.
Babs is a consistent top 20 player regardless, might even be a top 10 player regardless, if she's healthy and able to play a lot of tennis. The first woman to win on German soil since Steffi Graf.
You're joking.
I'm serious.
The first German woman to win a title in Germany?
Yes. The first German woman to win a title on home soil since Steffi Graf is...
Now, I have to admit, I actually did not know that Tammy was German. I thought she just came from the
I lied. I'm sorry I lied.
Oh my
It's
God.
more micro than that.
Come on.
The first to win in Hamburg.
You're joking. You know, it sounded wrong.
See,
as you were
this is
saying
what
it.
happens when you just have a cursory look at the story. You know,
Right.
I had to go and double check it
In
real
Hamburg
time.
specifically. Remember, Hamburg used to be a very prestigious tournament at one time.
It's also the scene of
It is. Yeah.
one of the biggest crimes in sporting history.
Yeah. Where Monica Seles was attacked.
Correct.
But let's not take away from Tammy.
She beat Anna Bondar in that final to win the tournament. We've got an 18-year-old who is hatching and snatching.
Another German speaker, the Austrian Lily Tager, beat Snigor in the final of Prague. All of a sudden, she's up to world number 45. When did that happen? Well, I know when it happened, this week, but still.
A bit of an update on Karolina Muchova. She did this cutesy little story. Was it on Instagram or TikTok or something? Well, she did a couple things. The first one was when you plan a vacation or something and it ends up like this, and then she's in the hospital.
Yeah.
And apparently she had a, quote, small surgery that will sideline her for, quote, a few weeks.
Like, will this not rest? Can she just have a few months of play without being injured or having a surgery?
And then she did this other cutesy thing with Priscilla Hahn.
Her friend.
That was a pregnant pause.
No.
Mine was.
No.
Mine was.
Oh, okay.
Mine was a pregnant
Priscilla
pause.
has been at the scene of the crime several times now. Has been inviting speculation.
Lesbianically.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't know her business, right? Rebel Wilson has attempted to out Carolina, which is why I believe Rebel should be banned from all tennis events. And I'm dead serious about that. She moves in a very fucking weird way.
I have to say, and this is... Carolina is gorgeous outside of tennis. Something about
Why
the way
are you
she...
objectifying her?
I know, it's bad. But something about the way she wears her hair on the court doesn't do her justice.
Okay.
Like when she's out and about, casually, in the real world, like... I mean, I've been feet away from her watching her play tennis, and this woman is just... She has an aura.
Yes, I think...
She has an incredible aura about her, and she has this effortless beauty.
Yeah, I
frankly.
think gay men respond to like a coolness factor, like an X factor. And that's sort of what you're digging into with Carolina.
Are you speaking for me?
No, that's just my impression.
Okay. The last bit of news before we finish this episode, the US Open mixed doubles extravaganza, flopaganza, fraudulence. The entry list came out today.
Now,
And
the good news, Iga and Casper reunited and it feels so good.
Rafa's kids.
Jesse Pegula, Jack Draper, if he plays. My God, he's been getting wild cards and pulling out recently.
He just pulled out of DC.
Yeah.
Apparently was on site. Andy came across the pond, was there with him, but unable to play because of another injury. The teams, let's go through it.
All of them?
Yeah, let's do it. Novak Djokovic and Arina Sabalenka.
Yep.
To the surprise of, I don't know.
I'm sure some people will enjoy that, so good for you.
Yeah.
If you like it, I love it.
It's a good pairing. Let's put it that way.
Indeed.
They're equally yoked. There is a little pause for me with saying to the surprise of nobody, because we are on the receiving end of that quite a bit. Because you skeeted today about how, this next pairing.
Oh, well, we'll get there.
Taylor Townsend and that guy. And you're like, excuse me, what? And somebody's like...
No, I said Taylor and who?
And somebody quote tweets and is like, I don't know why anybody's surprised by this anymore.
And
well, babe, who said they were surprised?
Where did I say I was surprised?
Who said they were surprised? Do you get how social media works? Yet you are here, not a follower, but an interloper, quote tweeting for clout.
Oh, nobody's getting clout on Blue Sky.
Which makes it even more sad.
Stop. Stearns and Stearns, color me surprised.
Well,
who is Preston Stearns?
Well, the surprise is twofold. One being that there was another Stearns. I didn't know that. And I guess the other surprise is that you could find a more white name than Peyton.
You could. And they did.
Indeed.
And
so
now,
Peyton and Preston will be playing.
I have to ask, why is Peyton here, first of all? That's question number one.
It has to be an agency, a management agency.
My second question,
is read by AMG,
which I've already asked, is who is Preston Stearns?
Presumably a brother.
And the third is, why are they here at the US Open in a draw dominated by famous people?
And in the absence of famous people, we should have double specialists.
Yeah.
Despite the war on doubles.
Not the war on doubles.
It is a war on doubles. Yelena Rybakina and Taylor Fritz, they continue their little, pairing.
Yep.
Belinda Bancic should have paired with that guy.
Oh, you just skipped a big one. Are you going back to
I did not. I'm looking at... Oh, yes, I thought in my mind we had talked about it already. So Belinda Bancic is pairing with Flavio Caboli. In my mind, Belinda should have been with that guy.
Yeah.
Instead, it's Taylor Townsend and that guy. And to the people who have been extending a lot of grace to Taylor with,
Which is probably us as well.
yes, for the multitude of faux pas in
At this
recent
point.
memory.
Yeah.
I get it. If you have decided that the door is closed, got it.
Mhm.
I can't hold you at fault because, like, what are we doing here? What is going on? Do I care to know why? I don't. I just know what it is, and I don't like it.
Yeah, because like, has he won a lot of doubles titles? No.
Like you're literally the number one doubles player in the world. I'm pretty sure
Right.
you could have picked
You could
any
play with
fucking
anybody.
body.
You could have played with Francis, for example.
Who's
playing here?
No, like the entry requirements isn't it like the singles
Oh.
players who get to bring people along?
Oh, right. Anyway, that guy has played one major doubles draw. I talk about a singular one in his entire 12 years on tour.
Defending champions Sara Rani and Andrea Vavasori, Alex Ayala and Felix Auger-Aliassime. Big kerfuffles in DC this week because all of a sudden Venus Williams, slated to play with Alex Ayala, recreate that magic of winning one match, and all of a sudden it's different. It's no longer
Wait, why were
it's no longer Ayala.
so...
It's Diana Schneider.
Yeah, but they were also like, "Oh, why isn't it Layla?" Like,
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
Why is this such a big deal?
I mean, she had a moment with Alex, and she had a moment with
Layla,
and maybe she decided to recreate with Ayala at this tournament. Maybe
Schneider.
No, initially it was Ayala, and then
okay.
both of them were asked about to impress. Venus was kind of evasive, but then Ayala said, "Listen, I don't have it in me physically to play both at this tournament." Coming back from a little bit of
which is usually the deal,
right? It's like it wasn't rocket science, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Just don't really get why it's a big thing.
Yeah,
Venus won with Schneider today.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, they won.
Oh, well, it's
nice to get a Williams family win.
We'll end the show with your thoughts on Venus's thoughts on Serena.
Oh, Lord.
Casper Ruud and Iko, we talked about that. Leila Fernandez and Frances Tiafoe.
I love that.
Naomi Osaka and Kei Nishikori. I love Naomi's love for Kei.
Yes.
And this past week in DC, they're both there. Naomi had Kei sign her shoe. And something else. Was it her arm or something? But she's always shown this great deference and reverence for Kei, who is in his final year of tennis, not life.
Right.
Diana Schneider is in an all-Russian pairing with Daniil Medvedev.
Yep, they're the Gazprom team.
I'm sure... Well, let me
just going to blow by that.
Yeah. Amanda Anisimova and Lerna Tien, all-American team. Katerina Siniakova and Henry Patton.
Okay, basically the best doubles players on the planet.
Siniakova, a very good singles player as well, by ranking as well, right now. Elena Gabriela Russa and Nuno Borges. Or is it Borges?
I think it's Borges. Okay. I don't speak Portuguese.
And then a Russian pairing again of Mira Andreeva and Andrei Rublev. Of course, a lot of this is subject to change. Likely will change.
Oh, yeah. Last year, it changed a lot.
Yeah. So, Venus, what did she say about Serena?
Oh, well, she was asked about Serena's match at Wimbledon against Maya Joint, and I don't believe Miss Joint was named by the elder Miss Williams. But she was talking about how, some players just really light up and they play this, they play out of their minds and then they go back to their status quo.
But also
that
Serena played great. She said that Serena played amazing, what have you.
And my reaction to this is that might have been cute in 2009. This is 2026. Y'all are 45, 46. I am a Williams fan, dyed in the wool, as you know.
Venus really is 46. Yeah.
She's born in 1980.
Serena's 44 still.
Yeah, she'll be 45 in September. But you gotta stop this.
It was not a crazy thing that Maya Joint beat Serena Williams 4 years out from a competitive match as a 44-year-old.
I don't really find the delusion very charming. Because Serena is 44 years old. She wasn't moving very well. The thing is, you just have to be better if you want to beat a top 50, top 40 player on the WTA. That is just the truth. Maya did not play like Steffi Graf that day. You know?
Why Steffi Graf?
Maya did not play like Serena Williams that day.
Damn.
No, I mean, she played her game and she played well, but it's not like, oh my God, she goated.
No, but she played very well.
She did.
She did play very well.
Yes.
She played better than she had been playing in months.
She did. So Venus was right that maybe she's now regressed to the mean, right? She's gone back to how she'd been.
She won today. Maya won today.
Well, then Venus is wrong. Because that girl didn't win for months. You know?
I'm just surprised.
I'm just saying. If you're going to come back and say, I want a wild card and I want to compete against the best women in the world, then you just say, well, you were better than me.
But what is Venus supposed to say?
I don't.
In defense of her sister. It's a losing game.
Well, also Venus is getting wild cards to lose easily to people in singles, you know? And I love her down. Mm-hmm. But what do you say if you're Venus Williams in that situation?
Right, because you are also now needing to protect your own interest.
Right.
Because for a moment there, I thought you were just taking shots at Venus.
Oh, which would have been verboten on this podcast. But I'm just saying...
It would have been a title change. Yeah,
but at her age, every time you lose singles, you can't say that person was goading against me.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you just have to say, well, this is where I am. That's what I don't accept, what I don't like. Just accept this is where I am in my tennis development, in my fitness, whatever. And Maya played well, but you don't have to say like, oh, she played out of this world.
Because I agree, but there's also a residual truth to what they dealt with in their entire career. It's the same shit. That must be their perspective.
Right.
Like years ago, every time I stepped on court, some heifer was gonna bring it like they've never brought it before.
But that's what you want, right? That's what builds a great league. Like,
well, WTA might want that, but if I'm a Williams, I don't want that. Sure. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of that shit.
Who doesn't want to win against the GOAT? Who doesn't want to win against Novak Djokovic?
In my mid-40s, I'm doing a lot to be here, and I'm playing as well as I can. And can I catch a break? Can you continue to lose? Can you continue to play badly? No. You're here again, goating.
But no.
Better than you have before.
Sure, and I get it, and I probably would be petty if I were in this situation, but you're Serena Williams. These are your daughters. Remember? This is what you helped build. So here you go.
And on that note, thank you for listening to episode, 431?
431, yep.
Yeah. My name is Jonathan. You can find me on Blue Sky at tennis_John.
And I'm James at ElliotJMR.
2 L's, 2 T's.
We're on Instagram at The Body Surf.
Well, yeah, but you can also find that on linktree.com.
Yeah, but you know,
linktree.com.
We're trying to get people to continue following the Instagram.
Okay.
I'm about to get my Roland Garros photos developed.
Finally.
I haven't yet, but I'm excited to see what's on there.
Postcards for next year.
Yeah.
Something's on there that we'll use. Thanks for listening.
Till next time.
Merci à tous. Merci.